Have you ever felt an inexplicable impulse to take a different path, only to discover later that it saved you from an obstacle? Have you thought intensely about someone, and at that instant, the phone rang? Have you had a dream that days or weeks later seemed to echo in your reality? These moments are not coincidences. They are not tricks of the mind. They are the whispers of the universe. They are the silent murmur of your own destiny, trying to guide you home. We have been conditioned to seek answers in the noise of the external world, in the logic of experts, in data and in evidence. And in doing so, we have become deaf to the most fundamental and truest language of all, the language of the soul in conversation with the cosmos. This audiobook is an initiation, not into secret knowledge, but into a lost art, the art of listening. It is a training to tune your inner ear, so that you can clearly perceive the signs, premonitions, and synchronicities that the universe weaves, like threads of light, into the tapestry of your daily life. You will learn that you are not alone or adrift in an ocean of chance. You are a co-creator, in a constant dialogue with an infinite intelligence that longs to guide you, protect you, and lead you toward your highest expression. The universe has never stopped talking to you. You have just forgotten how to listen. It's time to remember. The premonition of your own power begins now. Chapter 1. The Whisper. Before the gift, intuition is the whisper that arrives before the gift. It is the silent premonition of synchronicity. It is the inner compass that the Creator has installed in the core of your soul, an infallible guidance system that always, without exception, points toward the magnetic north of your highest good and your maximum expansion. This compass is not an optional accessory. It is your standard equipment. You were born with it. The problem is that we have been conditioned, from our first breath, to ignore it, to distrust it, to ridicule it. We live in a civilization that glorifies the noise of the logical mind, the shouts of analysis and data. We value maps created by others, the opinions of experts, the deafening cacophony of external information. And in doing so, in our eagerness to be rational and safe, we have allowed the exquisitely tuned whisper of our own inner wisdom to be lost in the din of the world. We have traded a divine compass for a chorus of frightened voices. This chapter is your initiation into the sacred art of listening again. It is the process of cleaning the rust from your compass and learning to trust its delicate needle again. To do so, you don't need to acquire anything new or learn an external skill. You only need to remember a language you already speak. And to remember, we must first become master anatomists, learning to differentiate with surgical precision the anatomy of the soul's whisper from the anatomy of the fear's shout. The anatomy of the fear's shout fear. The voice of your conditioned ego, of your mental parasites, is a shouter. Its main and only goal is survival, to keep you safe inside the familiar walls of your comfort zone. And its main tool is panic. To capture your attention and make sure you obey its warnings, it needs to be loud, urgent, and dramatic. It is loud and repetitive, the broken record of panic. The voice of fear is a loop, a broken record on the turntable of your mind. It repeats over and over again, gaining intensity with each turn. It is the obsessive thought about the worst-case scenario. It is the litany of your inadequacies. You're not enough. You're going to fail. They're going to reject you. Its volume is high because its strategy is one of flooding. It needs to drown out any other possibility, any other quieter, more hopeful voice. It is the voice that wakes you up at 3 a.m., with a racing heart and a list of imminent catastrophes. It is contractive, the embrace of death. Fear always, without exception, produces a feeling of contraction in your body. It is a visceral somatic no. To prove it, pause right now. Think of a debt you're worried about, or a conflict you're avoiding. Feel your body. Do you notice how your shoulders hunch slightly forward? How your jaw tightens? How your stomach turns into a knot? How your breathing becomes shallow and chest level? Your body literally shrinks. It's preparing for impact. This is the physiological signature of fear. It is the language of closing, of protection, of death. It is logical and based on the past, the frightened historian. And this is its most cunning and convincing tactic. Fear masquerades as reason, logic, and prudence. It justifies its warnings with the irrefutable evidence of your past failures, your wounds, or the horror stories you've heard from others. It is a historian, not a visionary. Its only database is the past. It will tell you, don't launch that business. It's irrational. Remember that 90% of businesses fail, and remember that project of yours that didn't work out in 2015. It will tell you, don't trust that person. It's naive. People always betray, don't you remember your last relationship? Its logic is the impeccable logic of a prisoner who can only conceive of a future that is an exact repetition of the walls of his past. It is urgent and demanding, the tyrant of the now. Fear is always in a hurry. Its energy is frantic. It shouts, you have to decide now. You have to do something immediately. Answer that email now or everything will fall apart. This false urgency is a hijacking tactic. It is designed to prevent you from pausing, from having time to breathe, to center yourself, and to connect with a deeper, calmer wisdom. It pushes you to reactive action, not inspired response. The anatomy of the soul's whisper intuition, the voice of your higher self, operates in a completely different, almost opposite way. It is the voice of wisdom, not survival. It does not seek to keep you safe in the known. It seeks to guide you toward your expansion into the new. It does not need to shout, because its power does not reside in volume, but in the resonance of truth. It is silent and singular, the gemstone flash. Intuition is not an obsessive thought that hammers at your head. It is a flash. It is an instantaneous knowing that appears in your consciousness in a moment of stillness, often when you least expect it. It is a download of information, a package of wisdom that arrives complete and perfect. It often comes only once with absolute calm and clarity. It doesn't argue, it doesn't debate, it doesn't give you a list of pros and cons. It simply presents its truth and then withdraws into silence, trusting that you have received it. It is expansive, the breath of life. Intuition always, without exception, produces a feeling of expansion in your body. It is a cellular yes. Now take another pause. Think of an idea that genuinely excites you, a creative project, a trip you long for even if it seems impossible. Feel your body. Do you notice a lightness, an openness in your chest, a smile that forms for no reason, a surge of energy, sometimes even the goosebumps that are the physical confirmation of a spiritual truth? That is the signature of expansion. That is your body saying yes. It is often illogical and focused on potential, the eagle's vision. Intuition is not limited by the data of your past. Being connected to the field of infinite potentiality, it has an eagle's vision, while the ego has a mole's vision. It will often guide you toward paths that your logical mind considers impossible, irrational, or irresponsible. It doesn't tell you what is safe based on the past. It shows you what is possible for your future. Where fear, the historian, tells you, don't launch that business, the data says it's risky. Intuition, the visionary, whispers, yes, this way. There is something for you on this path, without offering you any logical guarantee, only a resonance of truth. It is patient and serene, the sovereign's invitation. Intuition is not in a hurry. Its energy is one of sovereign calm, of quiet certainty. It doesn't push you, or demand, or threaten you. It invites you. It shows you the door, but it gives you the freedom and respect to choose whether to cross it or not and when. Its energy is that of a wise king or queen, not a frightened tyrant. This absence of pressure and urgency is one of its clearest and most reliable signatures. The first practice, the cultivation of silence, the creation of the temple. You have learned to recognize the whisper. Now you must create the acoustic environment in which it can be heard. The fundamental practice is not to actively seek intuition, which creates tension. It is to cultivate silence, which allows intuition to emerge effortlessly. Meditation is listening. Your meditation practice transforms. You no longer sit with the goal of emptying the mind, of fighting thoughts, or of concentrating fiercely on an object. You sit with the intention of listening. You are the host who prepares the house in an expectant, loving silence, waiting for the arrival of a sacred guest. You sit, focus on your breath to calm the system, and then ask an open question of your inner self. What does my soul most need to focus on today? Or what is my next inspired step? And then you let go of the question. You don't look for an answer. You simply open yourself, you become a receptive space, listening not with your ears, but with your whole body for any feeling, image, or knowing that may arise. Nature as an amplifier. You spend time in nature, alone and in silence. The natural world vibrates at the soul's frequency, a frequency free from the human ego. A silent walk in a forest by the sea, or even in a city park, is one of the most potent acts you can perform to quiet the ego's noise and amplify the whisper of your true self. Try the oracle walk. Before you start, formulate a question. Then walk without looking for anything. And trust that the first thing that meaningfully catches your attention, a bird, a feather on the ground, a cloud formation, is a symbolic answer from your deep self, the sanctuary of silence. In addition to formal practices, you begin to weave small sanctuaries of silence into your daily life. You drive without the radio. You wash the dishes without music. You take 5 minutes between meetings to simply look out the window. These are the portals, the cracks in the noise of the modern world where intuition can slip in. The second practice, the body compass, the oracle of the body. To validate the whisper and train yourself to distinguish truth from fear, the reborn one consults his most faithful and incorruptible oracle, his own body. Your body cannot lie. It doesn't know how. It only knows how to resonate with truth or contract in the face of falsehood. His practice is that of deliberate somatic consultation or the body resonance check-in. Faced with a decision, big or small, from should I take this job to should I go to that party, he performs a body check-in. Center yourself. Sit down. Close your eyes and take a couple of deep breaths to calm your mind. Present option A. Bring the first option to mind. If possible, say it out loud. The option is to accept this job offer. Scan. Now bring all your attention to your body. Without judging, simply scan from head to toe for 30 seconds. What do you feel? Is there a tension in your throat? A knot in your stomach? A heaviness in your chest? Name the sensation. This is contraction. Or do you feel a lightness in your heart? A feeling of openness, of energy flowing upward? Name the sensation. This is expansion. Clear the field. Shake your body for a few seconds to clear the energy of that option. Present option B. Repeat the process with the second option. The option is to reject this offer and keep looking. And scan your body again. His practice is to honor the answer of this compass above all the arguments, fears, and shoulds of reason. The first reaction of your body, the one that occurs in the first instant, is the purest. The third practice, the journal of whispers, your book of proof. To learn to trust guidance, especially when it seems illogical, the reborn one becomes the chronicler of his whispers. He proves to his own skeptical mind that this guidance is real and that it works. His practice is that of the journal of whispers. He creates a specific journal for this purpose, his sacred book of evidence. He divides it into 3 columns, date and whisper. He notes down the intuitive whisper he received, no matter how small or strange it is. Call this person. Research this topic. Go to that new coffee shop today. Take a different route home. Act of faith. In this column, he notes down the action he took to honor the whisper. I called. I Googled it. I went. This step is crucial because it records his acts of trust, the gift, the synchronicity. He leaves this space blank. And then, when the purpose of that guidance reveals itself, sometimes minutes, days, or weeks later, he returns to his journal and writes down the outcome. I called that person, and it turned out they needed exactly the help I could offer, which led to a new and exciting project. By taking the different route, I avoided a huge traffic jam and heard a song on the radio that gave me the answer I needed. This journal serves 2 vital functions. First, it becomes his own sacred book, the irrefutable proof written by his own hand, that there is a deeper wisdom guiding him, which dissolves the doubts of his logical mind. Second, by paying attention and acting on the whispers, he is telling his soul, I am listening. I trust you. This creates a positive feedback loop that encourages his intuition to speak more and more often and with greater clarity. The echo of the soul is no longer a strange and occasional phenomenon that happens to you. It has become your guide, your compass, the constant and loving companion of your journey. You have learned to listen to the voice of truth that has always resided in you. You have received the first and most sacred premonition, that of your own infallible wisdom. Chapter 2. The frequency of preparation. You have learned to listen to the whisper. You have begun to discern the silent guidance of your soul from the noisy shout of fear. And now the whisper guides you to an even deeper truth, a law that governs the dance of creation. It tells you that before the universe can deliver the gift you long for, you must become the worthy vessel for it. Your being, your energy field, your very vibration must be prepared to sustain the magnitude of the blessing that is already on its way to you. You must learn to tune in to the frequency of preparation. The culture of the first birth, the programming of the mask, has taught us that life is a search. We search for happiness, we search for success, we search for love, we search for healing. And in this incessant search, we adopt the identity of the seeker. We take pride in our effort, our perseverance, how hard we work to achieve our goals. But ancient knowledge, the wisdom of the masters of reality, reveals a cruel and liberating paradox. The energy of the seeker is, by definition, the energy of lack. To want something is a vibrational declaration that you don't have it. To seek something is an energetic affirmation that it is lost to you. To need something is to anchor yourself in the feeling of its absence. When your dominant state of being is that of someone who is searching, the universe, which is a perfect and literal mirror, can do nothing but reflect back to you a reality in which you are always searching, but never quite finding. The search becomes a perpetual state, a journey without a destination, because the vibration you emit is that of the journey, not that of the destination reached. The premonition of power, the whisper of your soul, does not invite you to search harder, to strive more, to run faster. It invites you to do the unthinkable, the radical, the heretical. It invites you to stop searching and to start being. The principle of embodiment, to attract. You must become. Here lies one of the deepest, simplest, and often most difficult laws of manifestation to accept. You don't attract what you want. You attract what you are. You don't attract abundance because you desire it with all your might. You attract it because you have become the vibrational embodiment of abundance. You don't attract true love because you need it to fill your emptiness. You attract it because you have become the vibration of love and wholeness itself. You don't attract healing because you fight against illness. You attract it because you embody the frequency of perfect health. Imagine that your desire exists as a specific frequency in the quantum field. It is a radio station that is already broadcasting the music of your fulfilled reality. You cannot hear that music if your own receiver is stubbornly tuned to the frequency of the static of lack, doubt, and impatience. To try to get something without first being its frequency is like trying to make a tuning fork in G vibrate by placing it next to one that is vibrating in C. It is a physical impossibility. Preparation, therefore, is not an act of doing things in the external world to deserve the gift. It is not about tidying up your house for the visit. It is the inner work of tuning your own instrument, your body, your mind, your heart, of changing your personal frequency so that it corresponds exactly to the frequency of the reality you wish to experience. And the lever that changes the frequency is feeling. Feeling is the vibration. The frequency of preparation is the art and science of generating, in your body and in your heart, the feeling of your wish already fulfilled, before you have any evidence of it in your external world. To illustrate this law, imagine two artists. Both long to be recognized and celebrated for their work. Artist A is the seeker. He works tirelessly in his studio, driven by an energy of silent desperation. His dominant inner state is that of an unrecognized artist. He feels frustrated by the lack of sales, invisible to critics, anxious about the future. His vibration, the signal he emits to the universe, is that of a lack of recognition. And the world, acting as a faithful mirror, continues not to recognize him, perfectly reflecting his inner state. His search perpetuates the very condition he is trying to escape. Artist B is the master of embodiment. He deliberately ignores his current circumstances, his bank account, the lack of exhibitions. In the sacred solitude of his studio, he consciously chooses to inhabit the state of being of an already celebrated and successful artist. He does not ask, "How will I feel when I sell a painting?" He asks, "How does a celebrated master feel when he paints?" And he embodies that answer. He paints with the confidence, the joy, and the generosity of someone whose value has already been affirmed. He does not seek the world's validation, because he has already given it to himself. His dominant vibration, the music he emits, is that of celebration and mastery. What do you think happens? The world, by the law of resonance, begins to notice Artist B. A critic visits his studio, and instead of seeing a desperate artist, is drawn to the unmistakable confidence of his work. A collector perceives the joy and wholeness that emanate from his canvases, and wishes to own a piece of that energy. His fame is not born from his effort to seek it, but as the inevitable echo of his being. He did not seek recognition. He became the person who is recognized. This is the great reversal. You stop being the beggar who asks for the gift, and you become the altar that receives it. The first practice, somatic visualization, the soul's dress rehearsal. Conventional visualization is often a purely mental, sterile exercise. You watch a movie on the screen of your mind. It is an act of observation, not of embodiment. But to embody a new frequency, the vision must descend from the head to the body, from thought to sensation. Your practice is somatic visualization. Distill the essence, choose the feeling. First, you identify the emotional essence of your wish fulfilled. Not the object, not the form, but the root feeling. If you want a new house, perhaps the feeling is security. If you want a new partner, perhaps it is wholeness. If you want a successful business, perhaps it is freedom. Use the 5 whys technique to get to this essence. This feeling is your target frequency. Activate the body, the search for the sensation. Then in your meditation, you don't just visualize the house. You release the image and focus entirely on the frequency. You ask yourself, what does security feel like in my body right now? And you allow that sensation to arise without forcing it. Perhaps it is a warmth that expands in your chest. Perhaps it is a feeling of being solidly anchored to the earth through your feet. Perhaps it is a deep, relaxed breath that reaches the bottom of your abdomen. Become a scientist of your inner landscape, locating and isolating the physical sensation of your wish fulfilled. Amplify and anchor. Once you have found the sensation, you immerse yourself in it. You breathe it. With every inhalation, you imagine it growing, becoming stronger, more vivid. With every exhalation, you feel it expanding through every cell of your body. You are teaching your body, on a cellular level, what it feels like to be the person who already lives in that reality. You are installing the frequency in your biological hardware. While you are at the peak of the sensation, you can create a somatic anchor, a subtle gesture like joining your thumb and forefinger that you will associate with this state. With repetition, this anchor will become a shortcut to accessing this frequency at will. The second practice, the art of acting as if, coherence in action. Once you have practiced and anchored the frequency in your inner world, you must take it to the outer world. You must close the gap between who you are in your meditation and who you are in your daily life. Your practice is to act as if. This is not pretending to impress others. It is a sacred act of coherence to impress yourself, your own subconscious mind, which learns through action. Throughout your day, at the small and large crossroads, you constantly ask yourself, how would the person who is already who I want to be think, move, speak, and decide? If you are embodying the frequency of abundance, perhaps instead of ordering the cheapest dish on the menu out of fear, you choose the one you truly desire, with the serene confidence that your resources are unlimited. When paying your bills, instead of feeling contraction, you feel gratitude for the services received, acting as if they came from an inexhaustible source. If you are embodying the frequency of love and connection, perhaps instead of hiding at home feeling lonely, you go out for a walk with an openness, a smile on your face, and a willingness to make eye contact, not to find someone, but because you are a person who radiates love and connection. If you are embodying the frequency of perfect health, perhaps instead of moving with the fear and fragility of a sick person, you choose to walk upright, breathe deeply, and move your body with gratitude for the strength it already possesses. Each of these small actions is a declaration. It is a vow. It is a piece of evidence you present to your subconscious and to the mirror of the universe, demonstrating that your new identity is not a future fantasy, but your new and embodied present truth. The third practice, the curatorship of the resonant environment. Finally, the master of embodiment understands that his environment is a resonance field that can amplify his frequency or distort it. Therefore, he becomes a ruthless curator of his reality, making sure that everything that surrounds him is in harmony with the frequency he is embodying. Sensory curatorship. Look around you. Does your physical environment reflect the frequency of abundance and order, or that of chaos and lack? Clean your desk, tidy your closet, put on music that makes you feel expansive, light incense or a diffuser, with a scent you associate with peace or luxury. Your environment is the nest for your new vibration. Social curatorship. Are the people you spend the most time with seekers who live in complaint and lack? Or are they embodiers who inspire and uplift you? Consciously begin to limit the time you spend in conversations and with people who tune you into the old static of fear, and actively seek out the company of those who already vibrate at the frequency you aspire to. Informational curatorship. What are you consuming with your eyes and ears? Fear-based news, social media that induces comparison. Stop following accounts that make you feel less than. Follow the artists, thinkers, and creators who inspire you and who reflect the reality of mastery and abundance that you are building. The frequency of preparation has been revealed to you. You have learned to stop being the seeker who chases an elusive future and to become the frequency that magnetically attracts it. You no longer wait for the gift. You become the gift. And in doing so, the universe, by the immutable law of resonance, must find a perfect wrapping for you, an external reality that corresponds perfectly with your new and magnificent inner truth. Chapter 3. The Pull of Synchronicity. The untrained mind, trapped in a materialistic, mechanistic view of the world, lives in a universe of coincidences. It sees the events of its life as isolated, unconnected and random phenomena, like cosmic billiard balls colliding meaninglessly. If it thinks of a song and hears it 5 minutes later on the radio, it calls it a curious coincidence. If it meets the right person who can help with its project at the exact moment, it calls it a stroke of luck. It marvels for an instant and then forgets, blind to the pattern, deaf to the language. The initiate in the art of listening knows that coincidences do not exist. Only the consequences of vibration exist. The psychiatrist Carl Jung, one of the great explorers of the bridge between the psyche and matter, coined the term synchronicity to describe this phenomenon. He defined it as a principle of a causal connection, that is, two or more events that are connected, not by a linear, visible cause and effect relationship, ball A hits ball B, but by a shared meaning, by a resonance, from a quantum perspective. The explanation is even deeper and more powerful. Synchronicity is not a simple, meaningful coincidence. It is the tangible evidence, the first observable data, that the quantum field is reorganizing in response to your new vibration. When you change your inner state, when you stop being the frequency of the seeker and embody the frequency of the finder, when you emit a new coherent signal to the ocean of potentiality, that signal, like a stone thrown into a calm pond, creates ripples, and synchronicity is the first of those ripples that returns to the shore of your perception. It is the first echo that the universe gives you back, an acknowledgement that confirms that your new broadcast is being received with clarity and that the vast, invisible machinery of creation has been set in motion to orchestrate a new reality. A synchronicity is not an external magical event that happens to you. It is the manifestation of your own changing energy, reflected in the mirror of the world. It is feedback, the grammar of the universe. Types of synchronicity. To stop being illiterate in this cosmic dialogue, you must learn the grammar of the universe. The universe speaks to you in many ways, using a subtle grammar of symbols, encounters, and events. To become a fluent translator, you must learn to recognize its three main types of messages: the confirmation signal, the cosmic. Received. These are often the first and most subtle signals to appear after you have set a new intention or achieved a new state of being. They are little winks from the universe, designed to strengthen your faith, to anchor your new vibration, and to let you know that your message has been received loud and clear. Repeating numbers. Suddenly, you start seeing sequences of numbers, 1111, 222, 333, 444, everywhere, on clocks, car license plates, receipts, page numbers. The logical mind tries to dismiss it as a confirmation bias, but your intuition feels the resonance. Don't obsess over looking for an esoteric dictionary of meanings. Understand these sequences as a simple thumbs up from universal intelligence. Doubt received, we're on it, keep vibrating this way. Personal symbols. You start to find objects or see images that have a special personal meaning for you. It could be a feather on your path just when you are asking for a sign of lightness and freedom, or the recurring image of a lion or an eagle when you are cultivating courage and vision. These are totems that the universe presents to you to remind you of the quality you are embodying. Auditory. Confirmation. You think of a question, and the first song that plays on the radio contains the exact answer in its lyrics. Or you walk down the street, deep in doubt, and you overhear two strangers say the precise phrase you needed to hear. It is the universe using the world as its speaker. Emotional confirmation. Out of nowhere, while you are doing a mundane task, an inexplicable wave of peace, joy, or love washes over you for no apparent reason. This is not a random feeling. It is the universe giving you a free sample of the frequency of your wish fulfilled, confirming that you are on the right path. These signals are not the manifestation itself. They are the appetizer. They are the universe's way of telling you, trust, stay in this vibration. The magic is underway. The guidance signal, the breadcrumbs on the path. These signals are more active, more direct. They don't just confirm your path, they show you the next tangible step. They are like the breadcrumbs that universal intelligence leaves to guide you through the forest of life to your destination. Guidance through others, the messengers. The universe often conspires through other people, often without their knowing it. A friend out of nowhere mentions a book that contains the exact information you need for your project. You meet someone at a party who happens to be an expert in the specific field you need help with. Your mother forwards you an email that contains a perfect opportunity for you. The initiate knows that these people are messengers, unconscious agents of the divine plan. Guidance through information, the modern oracles. You casually come across an article online, a YouTube video, or a podcast that answers, with astonishing precision, the exact question you had asked yourself that same morning. An algorithm recommends content that seems tailor-made for your current situation. Guidance through intuitive impulse, the inner compass. Along with your intuition, the inner whisper, you feel an inexplicable impulse to go to a certain place, to take a different route home, to contact an old friend. And by following that illogical impulse, you encounter the opportunity, the person or the information you needed for the next step of your journey. These are not coincidences. They are the next steps of the divine plan, revealed one by one, never the whole map at once. The opportunity signal, the open doors. As your energy becomes more and more coherent and sustained, synchronicities become more tangible and potent. They stop being simple clues and winks and turn into doors that open wide right in front of you. You receive a call or an email with an unexpected job offer. That aligns perfectly with the new career you had been visualizing. An atofunto. Opportunity to invest in a project that deeply resonates with your values and, coincidentally, needs exactly your unique skills appears. The perfect house that meets all your criteria appears on the market the same day you decide to start looking, often through an unexpected channel. The right business partner, the perfect partner, the mentor you needed. They appear in your life with a naturalness and ease that seems miraculous. These are not luck. They are the result of the reorganization of material reality to correspond with the sustained coherence of your energy field. They are the bridge of incidents, manifesting in the physical world. They are proof that the universe not only listens and guides you, it also opens the way for you. The architect of the void does not leave his perception to chance. He knows that to hear a whisper, he must first calm the noise. He enters the workshop of his consciousness and trains himself with a subtle discipline to become a fluent interpreter of the universe's silent language. The following 3 practices are the disciplines of this quantum interpreter. The first practice, cultivating the receptive state, tuning the station. The universe is speaking constantly, but you can only listen when you are tuned to the right frequency. Your first practice is not to seek for signs with anxiety, which places you back in the energy of the seeker. It is to cultivate the state of being receptive. A brain in the stress state of high-frequency beta waves is functionally blind and deaf to synchronicity. It is in survival mode, using a narrow beam flashlight to scan for threats and problems. Its perceptual bandwidth is very limited. To be able to see the subtle connections of the field, to perceive the patterns, you must learn to slow down your brainwaves, to move to the alpha state, the bridge to the subconscious mind and the language of the universe. Your practice is to take coherence pauses throughout the day. Every hour or two, or whenever you feel stress starting to build, you take 1 to 3 minutes to perform a neurological reset. You stop. You close your eyes. You place a hand over your heart. You take 3 slow, deep breaths, imagining that you are breathing through your heart. You deliberately generate a genuine feeling of gratitude or appreciation for something. Anything for 60 seconds. You ask a silent question. Universe, what do I need to see right now? You open your eyes and return to your day with soft eyes, with a relaxed and open perception. This simple act is a neurological reset. It takes you out of beta, survival mode, and puts you into alpha creation and receptivity mode. By doing so, you open your perception to the field signals that were previously invisible to you. The second practice, the art of interpretation, the inner translator. You have seen a sign, a repeating number, an animal, a word. The logical mind wants an external answer. It Googles, what does seeing a hawk mean? Do not look for a universal dictionary of symbols. The universe speaks to you in a deeply personal language, using the symbols of your own subconscious mind. Your practice is not to ask, what does this symbol mean? It is to ask, what does this symbol mean to me? What feeling, what inner knowing, what memory or idea is awakened in me when I see it? You trust the first answer that emerges from your intuition, not the subsequent analysis of your logical mind. The correct interpretation always feels resonant, like the sound of a bell vibrating in your being. If the answer feels expansive, it is the right one. If it feels forced or mental, it is the ego trying to control the narrative. The art of interpretation is the art of learning to trust the wisdom of your own heart above the noise of your head. The third practice, following the breadcrumbs, the dance of co-creation. Recognizing a signal is the first step. Interpreting it is the second. Having the courage to act on it is the third and most crucial. Every synchronicity is an invitation to action, a breadcrumb on the path to your manifested future. Manifestation rarely occurs as a single great miraculous event. It often unfolds as a cascade of synchronicities that require your conscious and courageous participation. It is a dance. Imagine a creator, let's call her Elena, who has set the intention to launch a new online teaching project. She has done her inner work, has embodied the frequency of success and service, and has surrendered the how. Now, she dedicates herself to listening and following the breadcrumbs. The first signal. One day, while meditating, the image of a blue lotus flower comes to her mind for no apparent reason. It is a confirmation signal. The second signal. That same afternoon, a friend casually sends her a link to a webinar about digital marketing. The logo of the webinar is a blue lotus flower. This is a guidance signal. The first action, trust. Eleanor's logical mind protests. I don't have time for this. But her somatic compass gives her an expansive yes. She trusts. She signs up and attends the seminar. The third signal. During the seminar, the presenter mentions a new, obscure software platform that is perfect for online courses. The name of the platform deeply resonates with her. It's another breadcrumb. The second action. Instead of sticking with known safe platforms, Elena follows the impulse and spends a day researching this new platform. She discovers it is exactly what she needs. The fourth signal. When she signs up for the platform, she sees that the founder will be hosting a Q&A session in an online community that same evening. It is an opportunity signal. The third action. With cultivated courage, Elena participates in the session and asks an intelligent question about the platform. The founder, impressed by her vision, sends her a private message afterward. It turns out they are looking for founding creators to feature in the platform's launch. That connection, born of a cascade of synchronicities and a series of small, courageous acts of trust, becomes the key that not only completes her project, but launches it to global success in a way she could never have planned. The quantum creator understands that life is this dance of co-creation. She sends the clear signal with her being. The universe responds with a breadcrumb. She takes the next inspired step, and the universe shows her the next breadcrumb. The echoes of the void are no longer coincidences. They have become your navigation system, the GPS of your soul, the constant confirmation that you are in dialogue with the cosmos. You have learned to read the universe's feedback. You are no longer a traveler walking blindly in a random world. You are a quantum explorer, guided moment by the echoes of your own consciousness reflected in the mirror of the world. Chapter 4. Desire as Destiny. In our culture and in many superficial spiritual philosophies, desire has been demonized. We have been taught to see it as the enemy of peace, as the source of our suffering, as the voice of the insatiable ego that always wants more. We are told that to achieve enlightenment or happiness, we must eradicate desire, transcend it, become indifferent to the fruits of the world. But this is a half-truth, a dangerous misinterpretation that has led us to a life of suppression, of apathy disguised as peace and of sterile stillness. It is the great spiritual castration. To deny desire is to deny the very life force, the impulse for expansion that causes galaxies to form and flowers to open. Ancient knowledge does not teach us to kill desire. It teaches us to purify it. It teaches us to differentiate, with the precision of an alchemist, between the noisy, reactive wanting of the ego and the sacred, deep longing of the soul, because an authentic desire, a longing that persists in the silence of your heart, is not a whim. It is not a sign of your lack. It is the compass of the universe pointing toward your own north. It is a premonition of your own unmanifested potential. It is the voice of your destiny calling you home. Lack desire versus destiny. Desire to be able to use this divine compass, you must first learn to read it correctly. You must become a master of discernment, capable of differentiating between the two types of desire that operate in your consciousness. One keeps you in prison. The other gives you the wings to escape. Lack desire, the ghost's hunger. This is the desire that philosophies condemn. It is the ego's ghost hunger. It is born from the illusion of separation, from the primordial wound that made you believe you are incomplete, that you are missing something, that you are separate from the source of all good. It is the voice of the mask we have built. Its engine is comparison and lack. It does not arise from within you. It is a reaction to an external stimulus. It sees the neighbor's car and wants it. It sees a friend's happy relationship on social media and wants it. It sees a colleague's success and recognition and wants it. The characteristics of this desire are unmistakable. It is reactive and external. It is always ignited in response to something outside of you. It is insatiable. It believes that if it acquires the external object, the person, the status, the money, the inner void will finally be filled. But it is an illusion. Once it gets what it wants, the relief is temporary and the ghost's hunger simply transfers to a new object. It is the hedonic treadmill. It is conditional. Its mantra is, "I'll be happy when I have X." It always postpones wholeness to a conditional future that never arrives. The energetic signature of this desire is anxiety, impatience, need, envy. It is a feverish hunger that is never sated. It is the energy of chasing. And as we already know, what you chase with the energy of lack flees from you, because your dominant vibration is that of, "I don't have it." Destiny desire, the soul's song. This is of a completely different nature. It is not born from lack but from wholeness. It is the voice of your true self, of your dharma, of your unique purpose, that longs to express and experience itself through you in the world. Its engine is not comparison, but expansion and expression. It is the same irresistible impulse that forces an acorn to become an oak tree, not because it wants to be one or because it is envious of other oak trees, but because it is its intrinsic nature to be so. It is the energy of pure potential seeking form. The characteristics of this desire are radically different. It is proactive and original. It arises from the deepest part of your being, often in moments of stillness. It feels like your idea, your fascination, your curiosity, not like a reaction to what others have. It is satisfying in the process. The joy is not in the final goal, but in the very act of unfolding. The joy is not in the finished painting, but in the act of painting. It is unconditional. The feeling of wholeness and alignment is present now in the act of pursuing this longing. It is not something that is postponed to a future outcome. The energetic signature of this desire is calm, patience, a serene joy, a magnetic fascination. It is not the anxiety of chasing. It is the joy of unfolding. It does not feel like a hunger that must be sated, but like a magnetic pull that guides you home. The initiate in the art of listening learns to differentiate these two voices. He observes with a detached compassion the hungry whims of his ego, and he honors with a sacred devotion the expansive longings of his soul. The first practice, the art of clarification, alchemical distillation. You have learned to differentiate the signal from the noise. Now you must give the signal a crystalline clarity. A soul's longing often arrives as a general feeling, a direction, not as a detailed plan. Your practice is that of desire distillation to find its pure essence. Identify the longing, the form. Write the longing in its external form. I want to build a successful online business. Distill the essence, the why. Now apply the 5 whys technique to pierce through the superficial layers. Why do I want a successful business? To have financial freedom. Why do I want financial freedom? So I don't have to worry about money. Why don't I want to worry? To be able to relax and feel secure. And what will that security give you? It will give me a deep sense of peace. Eureka! The essence, the true desire, is not the business. It is the peace. Reframe the intention. Now you reframe your desire not in terms of the form but of the essence. Your intention is no longer, I want a successful business. Your intention is now, my purpose is to embody and experience a state of deep and sovereign peace in all areas of my life. This clarification process is fundamental. It frees you from attachment to the specific form in which you believe your desire must manifest, the online business. When you align with the frequency of the essence, peace, the universe has infinite ways to deliver it to you, often in ways that are faster, more magical, and more perfect than your logical mind could have conceived. The second practice, the creation of the sacred vessel, the soul's greenhouse, an authentic desire, a newly clarified soul's longing, is a divine seed. It is incredibly potent, but also incredibly delicate in its early stages. It needs a sacred, warm, and protected space to be able to germinate without being disturbed. Your practice is that of creating the sacred vessel. This means that you do not share your deepest longing with minds that are not prepared to honor it. You protect the delicate seed from the icy winds of doubt, cynicism, and the well-intentioned logic of others, which are often projections of their own limitations. The "be realistic" of a frightened friend can be the frost that kills your tender sprout. Silence is the soul's greenhouse. By keeping your desire in the sacred silence of your own heart, sharing it only with your journal, with the universe, and perhaps with 1 or 2 people who vibrate at the same frequency of possibility as you, you allow it to accumulate energy, to take deep roots on the invisible plane, without being disturbed by the contradictory vibrations of the outside world. It is not about secrecy out of fear, but about a gardener's wisdom. The third practice, watering the seed with attention, joyful focus, with the desire clarified in its essence and protected in the sacred vessel of your silence, you must now nourish it. You water it with the most valuable currency you possess, your joyful attention. Here is where the final distinction between the seeker and the creator occurs. The seeker obsesses over the how and the when, watering the seed with the anxious energy of impatience. The creator, the soul gardener, simply delights in the idea of his desire, watering it with the frequency of joy. Your practice is that of joyful focus, curious immersion. You immerse yourself in the energy of your desire, not from the lack of chasing, but from the fascination of a child exploring a new world. If your essence is creativity, you visit museums, read artists' biographies, experiment with colors. If your essence is peace, you spend time in nature, listen to serene music, study philosophies of calm. The search for resonance. You talk to people who already live in the reality you long for. Not to ask them for a step-by-step plan, but to feel their energy, to tune in to their frequency. The celebration of the process. You delight in every small step of the way, in every small synchronicity. You enjoy the act of painting, not just the dream of the exhibition. You enjoy the conversation on a date, not just the goal of finding a partner. You are literally watering the seed, not with the salty water of need, but with the pure water of joy and fascination. And a seed watered with this frequency has no choice but to germinate, grow, and blossom into a manifestation that often far exceeds the original form you had imagined. Your desire is no longer a source of suffering. It has become your North Star, your destiny unfolding, the universe's whisper that shows you the way home. You have learned not only to hear the premonition of your power, but to honor and cultivate the premonition of your purpose. Chapter 5. The Attraction of Invisible Allies. You must understand that the moment you plant a seed, the entire ecosystem of the garden sets in motion to support it. The sun does not need to be persuaded to shine on it. The rain does not need to be convinced to water it. The worms do not need to be forced to nourish the earth around it. They are mobilized by law, by resonance with the life that is emerging. The truth is that the moment you align with an authentic desire, an invisible army of allies sets in motion to help you. You must learn to recognize and receive their help. You must understand the attraction of invisible allies, the physics of divine help. The seeker's mind, the mind of the borrowed life, sees help as something rare and random, a stroke of luck, a favor, an act of charity. It lives in a paradigm where it must struggle alone against an indifferent world. The initiate in the economy of consciousness understands that the arrival of help into his life is not an act of charity from a compassionate universe. It is an act of physics. It is the law of resonance in action, as impersonal and reliable as the law of gravity. When you clarify your desire and charge it with the emotion of preparation, when you embody the feeling of your wish already fulfilled, your electromagnetic field, your aura, begins to emit a very specific, very coherent, and very potent frequency. This frequency is like a radio beacon, sending an unmistakable signal to the quantum field that says, I am this, I am here. It's like a tuning fork that, by vibrating, causes other tuning forks of the same frequency in the room to start vibrating in sympathy. Even if they aren't touched, the universe, which is a field of infinitely interconnected intelligence, receives your signal. And by the law of resonance, it must bring into your experience the people, ideas, resources, and opportunities that are vibrating at that same frequency. These are not miracles in the sense of a disruption of the law. They are energetic appointments. They are the confirmation of the law. They are the evidence that the universe has received your transmission and is responding in kind. The field guide to the invisible army. Types of allies. These allies that the universe sends in response to your signal often do not arrive with trumpets and announce their purpose. They arrive disguised as chance, as coincidence, as everyday life. You must learn to recognize their three main forms to be able to honor their arrival and act accordingly. Human allies, the field messengers. This is the most common and often most beautiful way the universe helps you. The quantum field conspires through other people, often without them being aware of the sacred role they are playing in your journey. The right people begin to appear in your life at the right time. The unexpected mentor. You meet someone at a social event, on a plane, in a coffee shop, and in a brief conversation, that person casually has walked the path you are about to embark on and offers you the exact piece of wisdom, the contact or the warning you needed to avoid a costly mistake. The key connector, an old friend, whom you haven't spoken to in years, calls you out of the blue and says, I don't know why, but I was just thinking about you. You have to meet this person, and that person turns out to be the one who opens the door to your next big opportunity, your ideal partner, your investor, the ideal client or partner. When you are vibrating at the frequency of your purpose, you stop chasing clients or partners. You start to attract them magnetically. People who not only want your product or service, but who resonate with your why, with your energy, with your mission, come to you. The transaction ceases to be a sale and becomes an alliance. The sacred challenger. Sometimes an ally arrives disguised as an antagonist, a difficult client who forces you to perfect your craft, a harsh critic who forces you to clarify your message and strengthen your conviction, a person who betrays you and reveals a wound you needed to heal to move forward. The untrained mind calls them enemies. The initiate recognizes them as allies in disguise, sent to polish the diamond of his being. The initiate in the art of listening understands that there are no chance encounters. Every person who enters his orbit is a potential ally, a messenger who brings a piece of the puzzle of his manifestation. Information allies, the breadcrumbs on the path. Sometimes, before the person arrives, the information arrives. The universe sends you the clues, the knowledge, the instruction manual you need to take the next step with confidence. You casually come across a book, an article or an audiobook like this one that speaks directly to the heart of your current challenge, giving you the map you were missing, a phrase on a billboard, the title of a song on the radio, or a line in a movie you are watching, seem to directly answer the question you had asked yourself that same morning. You receive an intuitive impulse to research a topic that seems to have no relation to your goal, the history of beekeeping, Roman architecture, only to discover weeks or months later that a metaphor or principle from that field is the innovative key you were missing. The universe knows what you need to learn before you can receive what you have asked for, and it sends you the perfect curriculum, one lesson at a time, if you are paying attention. Opportunity allies, the open doors, finally. As your energy becomes more and more coherent, synchronicities become more tangible. They stop being simple clues and become doors that open wide in the hallway of life. Often where there was only a wall before, a job offer that you weren't looking for, but that aligns perfectly with your desire for creativity and freedom. The opportunity to invest in a project that deeply resonates with your soul, and the money to do so appears from an unexpected source. The perfect house that meets all your criteria appears on the market the same day you decide to start looking, and the seller, for some reason, feels a connection with you and accepts your offer over others. These doors don't open by luck. They open because your vibration, your energetic key, now matches the lock of that opportunity. The paradigm of struggle is to try to break down doors by force. The paradigm of co-creation is to become the key that opens them effortlessly. If this invisible army of help is always available, always waiting for your signal, why do our lives often feel so lonely and full of struggle? The answer is as simple as it is tragic. Because we have built an inner fortress with high walls and a deep moat designed specifically to keep help out. We have become experts at rejecting the gifts that the universe offers us. To become a master of reception, you must first become a demolition engineer of your own inner fortress. You must dismantle the 3 great walls that separate you from your allies. The first blockage, the belief in unworthiness, the wall of I don't deserve. The first and deepest wall, the foundation of the entire fortress, is the subconscious belief that we don't deserve it. If, deep down, you feel unworthy of receiving help, of life being easy, of things coming to you with grace, you will unconsciously sabotage every opportunity and every ally that presents itself. A mentor offers you his time, and you forget to call him. A golden opportunity appears, and you find 1,000 logical reasons why it's not the right time. Someone gives you a generous gift, and you feel immense guilt and discomfort. Rejecting help is a perverse way of validating your own story that you have to do everything, alone and with difficulty. It is your ego protecting its identity as a lone warrior. The practice of the declaration of deservingness. Your practice is to rewrite this contract of unworthiness. Every morning for 30 days you stand in front of the mirror. You look directly into your eyes. This is crucial. You place a hand on your heart and you declare aloud, I am worthy of all the help, all the love, and all the abundance that the universe wants to give me. My worth is intrinsic and unconditional. I deserve to receive with ease and with grace. I welcome my allies. At first it may feel false, but with repetition, this new truth will begin to seep into your subconscious, dissolving the old wall. The second blockage, the pride of the lone wolf, the wall of I can do it alone. The second wall is that of pride, often disguised as independence and strength. It is the belief deeply installed by our culture that asking for or accepting help is a sign of weakness. It is the myth of the self-made man or woman, the biggest lie of the ego. This belief isolates you and condemns you to operate only with your own limited resources and your own limited perspective. It is an arrogant denial of the interconnected nature of the universe. It's as if a single cell in your body declared, I don't need the heart to pump blood to me or the lungs to give me oxygen. I can do it alone. The result would be death. The practice of conscious reception. Your practice is that of sacred vulnerability and interdependence. Accept. The next time someone offers you help, no matter how small, carrying your bags, giving you advice, buying you a coffee, resist the automatic, programmed impulse to say, no, thank you. I can do it myself. Pause, breathe, and say, from a place of authenticity, thank you. I'd love that. I accept your help. Feel the vulnerability and connection that simple act creates. Ask, take it one step further. This week, identify a small area where you could use help and ask someone you trust for it. I'm a little stuck on this. Could you give me your perspective? You are rewiring your system to understand that interdependence is the highest form of power, not weakness. The third blockage, the blindness of expectation, the wall of it should be this way. The third blockage is the most subtle and often afflicts the most advanced students. It is our own rigid expectation of how help should arrive. We form a preconceived idea of what our ally will be like, a rich and famous mentor, what our opportunity will be like, $1 million contract, or what the sign will be like, a miraculous event. And if the universe, in its infinite and often playful wisdom, sends us help in an unexpected disguise, we dismiss it for not fitting our script. Perhaps you expected financial help to come from an investor, and instead, it arrives through your aunt who offers you to live rent-free for 6 months. Perhaps you expected advice to come from a famous guru, and instead, it arrives through a seemingly simple question from a child. If you are blinded by your expectation, you will ignore the message, reject the gift, and complain that the universe is not responding to you. The practice of the open mind, the surrender of the how. Your practice is that of the conscious surrender of the how. You let go of your preconceived ideas of how things should be, and you adopt as a daily mantra the following prayer. Universe Infinite Intelligence, I hand over my what and my why. The how, the who, and the when are your domain. I am open to receiving my good in expected and unexpected ways. Surprise and delight me. This gives the universe the freedom to orchestrate the most elegant, efficient, and magical solution, a solution that your logical mind could never have conceived. The invisible allies have become visible. Coincidences have revealed themselves as divine appointments. You have learned to recognize them, and more importantly, you have demolished the walls that prevented you from opening the door when they knock. Chapter 6. The door that refuses to open, the door you long to cross, the one that seems like the direct entrance to your destiny, closes in your face with an implacable force. The project you've poured your soul into crumbles. The person you love rejects you. The funding you took for granted vanishes. The untrained mind, the ego, interprets this closed door as a personal tragedy. It sees it as a failure, a punishment, irrefutable proof of its own unworthiness or the world's hostility. The ego's storm immediately breaks loose, anger, self-pity, and shame. Its inner dialogue is one of despair. I did everything right, I followed all the steps. Why is this happening to me? But the initiate in the art of listening, the creator who has matured beyond the ego's whims, understands one of the most subtle, profound, and comforting truths of creation. He understands that a closed door is not always a rejection. It is often a divine protection. It is not a punishment, it is a recalibration. Welcome to the sacred mystery and hidden wisdom of the door that refuses to open. The anatomy of an obstacle, the verdict versus the signal. To understand this principle, we must radically differentiate between the ego's interpretation and the soul's vision. For the ego, an obstacle is a verdict. It is a final judgment on your worth, your capabilities, and the viability of your dream. A closed door means you have failed. You are unworthy, give up. It is a final period. This interpretation leads to hopelessness and paralysis. For the soul, an obstacle is a signal. It is a piece of information, a direct communication from the universe that is giving you crucial data about your path. It is not a judgment, it is guidance. It is not a final period, it is a traffic sign. Turn left, slow down, or wrong way. The universe, in its infinite perspective, operates with a satellite vision while we often operate with a one-street map. Your ego, with its limited vision, may be obsessed with a specific path, believing with all its soul that it is the only one that will lead it to happiness. But the universe may know that that path a few kilometers ahead leads to a precipice, a dead end, a pain you don't need to experience. The closed door, the universe's no, is often its greatest act of love and protection. It is saving you from your own limited vision. It is not denying your destiny. It is protecting you from a dangerous detour. The three types of divine closed doors. When the universe says no to you through a closed door, it is not a simple message. It is a divine recalibration. It is active guidance, and this guidance manifests in three main ways. Learning to recognize them is key to navigating setbacks with grace and power. The door of protection, the loving no. Sometimes, the universe closes a door with an apparent finality to protect you from a future you cannot see. It is an act of preventive grace. Perhaps you didn't get that dream job at that prestigious company. Your ego mourns it as a loss, but the universe knew that the toxic culture of that company would have crushed your creative spirit in less than a year, leaving you exhausted and cynical. Perhaps that relationship that seemed perfect and that you longed for with all your heart ended abruptly or never began. Your ego feels the pain of rejection, but the universe knew that that person, 5 years in the future, would have caused you much greater pain through betrayal or fundamental incompatibility. Perhaps the loan for that business was not approved. Your ego sees it as a failure, but the universe knew that the market was about to change drastically and was saving you from financial ruin and years of stress. In these cases, the closed door is not a loss. It is an invisible liberation. It is the pruning of a branch that seemed promising, but which the divine gardener knew was going to get sick. Years later, in retrospect, we often look back at these closed doors and sigh with a deep sense of relief, saying, "Thank God that didn't work out." The door of preparation, the divine not yet. Other times, the door is not closed forever with a deadbolt. It is simply closed for now. The universe is not telling you never. It is telling you not yet. The obstacle, in this case, is a signal that there is a skill you need to develop, a lesson you need to learn, a healing you need to complete, or an inner growth you need to experience before you are truly ready to cross that threshold and prosper on the other side. Perhaps your project is not receiving the funding you seek because the universe knows that you still need to perfect your business plan, research your market more, or most importantly, develop unshakable self-confidence and trust in your vision. The rejection forces you to strengthen your proposal and yourself. Perhaps you are not attracting the conscious, loving partner you desire because the universe is giving you the sacred time and space to first heal your own wounds of abandonment. Learn to enjoy your own company and become the person you want to attract. The obstacle is not a wall. It is a gym. The rejection is the weight that the universe presents to you, knowing that it is the exact amount of resistance you need to develop the strength, resilience, and wisdom that you will need to succeed on the other side of the door. The door of redirection, the forced compass. Finally, sometimes a door closes with an undeniable, thundering force to make you turn your head and see another door, one that has always been open, perhaps right next to you, but which you, in your obsession with the original path, had refused to see. This is the most dramatic and often the most benevolent intervention. It happens when you have been ignoring the whispers of your intuition and the subtle signals of synchronicity. The universe, in its love, sometimes has to block your good path to force you to discover the excellent path. The writer whose manuscript is rejected by 20 publishers, 20 closed doors, may, in an act of desperation and faith, feel the impulse to self-publish, only to discover that it becomes a massive bestseller, giving him a creative and financial freedom he would never have had with a traditional publisher. The rejection was a redirection toward a greater good. The athlete who suffers a career-ending injury, the most brutally closed door, is forced to abandon his identity, only to discover in the void his true calling as an inspiring coach or therapist, a path that brings him a fulfillment that sports never did. The closed door, in this case, is the universe's forced compass, which takes you off a detour and puts you back on the superhighway of your true destiny. Understanding the philosophy of the closed door is the map. But when you find yourself standing in front of the wall, feeling frustration and disappointment, you need a practical way to transmute that energy. It is not enough to understand that the closed door is guidance. You must learn the art of listening to its message and acting accordingly. We move from understanding to alchemy. The first practice, the art of the sacred pause, sovereign non-action. When you encounter the closed door, your first impulse, programmed by our culture's cult of effort, is to push harder. It is the battering ram syndrome. You get frustrated, angry, you blame yourself or the world. You start frantically looking for solutions, forcing things, trying to knock the door down. The initiate in the art of listening does the exact opposite. His first act is not action, but conscious inaction. The pause. The instant you receive the no, the rejection email, the disappointing call, instead of reacting from your programming, you pause. You stop the world. You close your eyes. You place a hand on your heart and take 3 slow, deep breaths. You create a sacred space between the event and your response. The observation. In that pause, you observe the situation with detached curiosity. You observe the closed door. You observe the wave of frustration, fear, or sadness that runs through your body. But you do not identify with it. You do not say, "I am frustrated." You say, "I am noticing a feeling of frustration in my body." You are the sky, not the storm cloud. This simple act of non-reaction is an act of immense power. It prevents you from spending your precious vital energy on a useless fight against what is. It stops the bleeding of power. And in that space of calm, you open yourself to receiving the wisdom that the event has come to bring you. The second practice, the alchemical question, the dialogue with the universe. In that sacred pause, you abandon the victim's question, "Why me?" and you adopt the alchemist's questions, those that transmute the lead of the obstacle into the gold of wisdom. You take your journal, your consciousness laboratory, and you begin the dialogue. The question of protection. First, you explore the possibility of protection with genuine curiosity. You ask yourself, assuming this is for my highest good, what possible undesirable future could this closed door be protecting me from? What dangers, what pains, what dead ends that I cannot see might be on this path? What if this rejection is actually a divine rescue? You write freely, letting your intuition speak to you. The question of preparation. Then you explore the possibility of preparation. You ask yourself with a radical honesty, without self-criticism, what lesson is there for me in this obstacle? If this were a training camp designed by a divine mentor for my growth, what skill, what strength of character, patience, resilience, faith, or what inner healing do I need to develop before I am truly ready to cross this threshold? The question of redirection. Finally, you explore the possibility of redirection. You deliberately lift your gaze from the closed door and scan the horizon of your life. You ask yourself, if not this door, what other door, perhaps smaller or less obvious that I didn't see before, is now opening for me? To what greater good that I cannot yet conceive is this no guiding me? This process of questioning is not designed to find an immediate logical answer, but to change your energetic state from that of a frustrated victim to that of a curious and empowered student. The third practice, the decree of trust, intelligent surrender. Finally, you seal your new understanding with an act of conscious faith. Your practice is that of the decree of trust. Aloud, in the solitude of your sacred space or in the silence of your heart, you declare your alignment with the wisdom of the universe. This is not an act of defeat, but of alignment with a higher power. Universe, infinite intelligence, divine mind. I do not fully understand your plan, and I do not need to, but I trust in your wisdom, which is infinitely greater than mine. I release my need for things to be my way and on my timeline. I accept this closed door not as a failure, but as divine guidance and an act of love. I open myself now with gratitude and curiosity to receive the perfect path, the perfect time, and the perfect way that you are already preparing for me. Thank you. This act of intelligent surrender is the key that paradoxically opens the new door. It shows the universe that you have learned the lesson. The test was not to see if you could knock the door down, but to see if you could trust the architect. By passing the test, by demonstrating your faith, the universe can at last reveal the next step, the next open door. The closed door has ceased to be a symbol of failure. It has become an oracle, a silent teacher, a loving compass that guides you with infallible precision. You no longer fear the universe's no, because you know in the deepest part of your being that every no to a lesser good is simply the antechamber to a yes to a greater good. Chapter 7. The Magnet of Gratitude. We have been conditioned to understand gratitude as a social virtue, as a polite reaction, a courteous epilogue to a fortunate event. Someone gives us a gift, and we as good citizens of consensual reality say thank you. Abundance arrives, and we, after the fact, feel grateful. In this model, gratitude is the effect. It is the passive response to an external cause. It is the caboose of the manifestation train. But ancient knowledge, the wisdom of the masters of reality, reveals an inverted truth, one that lies at the heart of effortless manifestation. Gratitude in its highest and most creative form is not an effect, it is a cause. You don't feel grateful because the universe has given you something. The universe gives you something because you have dared to feel grateful first. Creative gratitude is the art and science of being grateful for your wish fulfilled before it manifests in the world of the senses. It is the clearest, most potent, and most unequivocal signal you can send to your subconscious mind and the quantum field. It is the telegram that arrives before the package, and that says with unshakable certainty, "Order received and completed on the plane of consciousness. Proceed with materialization." Most of us pray from a place of lack. We ask, we beg, we long. Each of these actions, though well-intentioned, is born from the deep, vibrational feeling of not having. And since the universe is a perfect mirror that does not respond to our words, but to our feeling, our prayer of lack can only manifest more lack. Gratitude inverts this equation radically. When you feel genuine gratitude for something, it is psychologically, neurologically, and energetically impossible to feel that you are lacking it. Gratitude is the vibrational signature of wholeness. It is the emotion of reception. By deliberately generating this feeling, you are assuming the state of being of your wish already fulfilled. And this, and only this, is the language that the universe understands and obeys without exception. The physics of gratitude, the science of the magnet, the power of gratitude is not a simple inspirational idea or a self-help concept. It is a biochemical and biophysical fact. It is the engineering of creation, the biochemistry of receptivity, the cellular switch. When you generate a sustained state of gratitude, your body responds immediately and powerfully, transforming your biology from a state of survival to a state of creation. Your heart enters a state of high coherence. As we have seen, this harmonious and rhythmic beat is the most potent signal of safety you can send to your brain and every cell of your being. Your brain releases a cocktail of well-being neurochemicals. Your levels of dopamine, the motivation and reward molecule, and serotonin, the well-being and confidence molecule, increase. And most importantly, the production of cortisol, the stress hormone, is drastically reduced. This biochemical state is your biology's reception mode. A stressed body, flooded with cortisol, is in survival mode, closed, defensive, focused on protecting itself from an external threat. Its resources are Chapter 7. The Magnet of Gratitude. We have been conditioned to understand gratitude as a social virtue, as a polite reaction, a courteous epilogue to a fortunate event. Someone gives us a gift, and we as good citizens of consensual reality say thank you. Abundance arrives, and we, after the fact, feel grateful. In this model, gratitude is the effect. It is the passive response to an external cause. It is the caboose of the manifestation train. But ancient knowledge, the wisdom of the masters of reality, reveals an inverted truth, one that lies at the heart of effortless manifestation. Gratitude in its highest and most creative form is not an effect, it is a cause. You don't feel grateful because the universe has given you something. The universe gives you something because you have dared to feel grateful first. Creative gratitude is the art and science of being grateful for your wish fulfilled before it manifests in the world of the senses. It is the clearest, most potent, and most unequivocal signal you can send to your subconscious mind and the quantum field. It is the telegram that arrives before the package, and that says with unshakable certainty, "Order received and completed on the plane of consciousness. Proceed with materialization." Most of us pray from a place of lack. We ask, we beg, we long. Each of these actions, though well-intentioned, is born from the deep, vibrational feeling of not having. And since the universe is a perfect mirror that does not respond to our words, but to our feeling, our prayer of lack can only manifest more lack. Gratitude inverts this equation radically. When you feel genuine gratitude for something, it is psychologically, neurologically, and energetically impossible to feel that you are lacking it. Gratitude is the vibrational signature of wholeness. It is the emotion of reception. By deliberately generating this feeling, you are assuming the state of being of your wish already fulfilled. And this, and only this, is the language that the universe understands and obeys without exception. The physics of gratitude, the science of the magnet, the power of gratitude is not a simple inspirational idea or a self-help concept. It is a biochemical and biophysical fact. It is the engineering of creation, the biochemistry of receptivity, the cellular switch. When you generate a sustained state of gratitude, your body responds immediately and powerfully, transforming your biology from a state of survival to a state of creation. Your heart enters a state of high coherence. As we have seen, this harmonious and rhythmic beat is the most potent signal of safety you can send to your brain and every cell of your being. Your brain releases a cocktail of well-being neurochemicals. Your levels of dopamine, the motivation and reward molecule, and serotonin, the well-being and confidence molecule, increase. And most importantly, the production of cortisol, the stress hormone, is drastically reduced. This biochemical state is your biology's reception mode. A stressed body, flooded with cortisol, is in survival mode, closed, defensive, focused on protecting itself from an external threat. Its resources are diverted from long-term projects like healing, digestion, and creativity. In this state, it is energetically impossible to create or receive anything new. A grateful body, on the other hand, is in growth and repair mode. It is biochemically open, relaxed, safe. It is, at a cellular level, prepared and ready to receive the gifts of the universe. It's like a flower that opens wide to the sun, instead of closing in on itself at the threat of a storm. Gratitude opens every one of the trillions of doors of your cells. The vibrational signature of wholeness, the music of the universe. Your state of being is a frequency, and the universe, as a resonance field, gives you back a perfect reflection of that frequency. The feeling of gratitude is the vibrational signature of wholeness. It is the energetic declaration, sung at the top of your lungs, that I already have, that I already am, that I am complete. It is impossible to feel genuine gratitude and a feeling of lack at the same time. They are mutually exclusive frequencies, like two radio stations that cannot occupy the same point on the dial. Therefore, gratitude is the perfect antidote, the ultimate short circuit to the scarcity mindset. By embodying the frequency of gratitude, you become a vibrating tuning fork that is perfectly tuned to the reality of your wish fulfilled. And by the law of resonance, that reality, which already exists as a potentiality in the quantum field, must be magnetically attracted into your experience, in the same way that a C note played on a piano will make the C string of a guitar on the other side of the room vibrate. It's not magic, it's physics. The end of the seeker's identity, the arrival at the destination. Finally, and perhaps most profoundly, the act of creative gratitude dissolves the seeker's identity. The seeker, as we have seen, is defined by his not having. His life is a pursuit. He is always on the way, but never at the destination. The one who gives thanks, on the other hand, is defined by his already having. He has stopped seeking and has begun to receive. His energy is no longer that of the tired traveler, but of the king who rests on his throne. This change of identity is the quantum leap. You stop being the person who wants success, and you become the person who is deeply grateful for success. Although nothing has changed in the external world yet, in your inner world on the causal plane, creation is already finished. And the world of shadows, the world of effects, has no choice but to, over time, conform to this new and powerful inner truth. Now that you understand that gratitude is not a courtesy, but the science of creation, we become scientists in the laboratory of our own lives. We stop being victims of circumstances, and we become the alchemists of our state of being. The following practices are the sacred technologies for cultivating and applying this magnetic force. Chapter 8. The test of patience. We live in the era of instant gratification. We have built a world that has conditioned us to expect immediate results. A civilization of immediacy. We order food and it arrives in minutes. We send a message and expect a response in seconds. We start a series and can binge-watch it in a single day. This culture of immediacy, this microwave tyranny, has created in us a deep intolerance for the process, an allergy to waiting. And we have transferred this impatient expectation to the sacred realm of conscious creation. When we plant the seed of our intention in the garden of the universe, the ego, our inner child, spoiled and conditioned by this culture, stands before the earth the next day, with its arms crossed and shouts, "Where is my tree?" On the third day, frustrated, it digs in the earth to see if the seed is doing anything. This impatience is not a simple sign of immaturity. It is a form of doubt. It is a vibrational declaration of distrust in the law of creation. It is the act of digging up the seed to see if it is growing, an act that inevitably kills the germination process by exposing the delicate root to air for which it is not yet prepared. The law of reversal, the wisdom of effortless manifestation, teaches us that the universe does not operate on the ego's timeline, which is linear, anxious, and impatient. It operates on divine time, on kairos time, which is cyclical, organic, and always perfect. And in divine time, every creation has its own sacred gestation period. A radish may take a month, an oak tree a generation. The sacred gestation, the universe's invisible workshop. When the gardener plants an acorn, he does not expect to see a majestic tree the next day. He does not doubt the seed or the earth. He knows with an ancestral wisdom that he has initiated a process that for weeks or months will be completely invisible to his eyes. Under the earth, in the silent and fertile darkness, the seed is working. It is performing a miracle of astonishing complexity. It is breaking its protective shell, extending its first delicate roots in search of nutrients, absorbing the water from the soil. An alchemical dance is taking place, completely hidden from view. Your manifestation follows the exact same law. The moment you emit your coherent signal, the moment you plant the seed of your desire in the quantum field, gestation begins immediately. The universe, in its invisible workshop, gets to work for you with a precision and intelligence that your logical mind cannot even begin to conceive of. Energy is reorganized, the quantum architecture. The quantum field, that ocean of infinite potentiality, begins to organize energy and information to correspond with your new vibration. It's as if a divine architect began to draw the new blueprints of your reality on the energetic plane. Events are orchestrated, the weaving of the bridge of incidents. The universe, like a master weaver, begins to interlace thousands of threads of synchronicity. The right people are subtly moved in your direction. The right conversations are orchestrated. Opportunities are prepared. The doors you need to open in the future begin to unlock now. An intricate bridge of incidents is being woven that, seen in retrospect, will seem like a series of miracles, but which is in reality a logical sequence of quantum cause and effect. The ground is prepared, the growth of the vessel. Often, the most important delay is the work the universe needs to do on you. It presents you with the lessons, challenges, and synchronicities you need to heal your wounds, dissolve your limiting beliefs, develop your strength of character, and ultimately, become the person capable of holding the manifestation once it arrives. This apparent delay is the universe's greatest act of love. All this work is as complex and vast as the growth of an oak tree's roots, and it is, for the most part, completely invisible to your five senses. The period of waiting is not an empty time. It is the time of most intense work, patience as active faith. With this understanding, patience is transformed. It ceases to be a passive waiting, anxious and full of powerlessness, and becomes an active faith, serene and full of power. Patience is not resignation. It is not sitting with your arms crossed and a vague hope that something will happen. Active patience is the discipline of the gardener. The gardener, after planting the seed, does not sit there doubting. He trusts in the immutable law of germination, and his work, during the period of invisibility, is to tend the soil. He protects the seed from weeds, thoughts of doubt and impatience, waters the earth with the water of his faith, deliberately maintaining the feeling of the wish fulfilled. He trusts in the sun and rain, universal intelligence and its perfect timing. Patience, therefore, is your final test of alignment. After you have done all your inner work, the universe asks you one last question. Do you really believe in the seed you have planted? Can you maintain faith in the invisible, even when the visible around you seems to contradict it? Can you trust me? Your ability to remain in a state of calm, confidence, and joyful expectation during this gestation period is the most powerful signal you can send to the universe. It is the final demonstration that your faith is real. And it is this sustained faith that acts as the sun that warms the earth and ensures that the sprout, in its perfect time, emerges into the light. Now that you understand the laws of divine gestation, you become the master gardener of your reality. You stop being the impatient child, and you become the wise guardian of your creation. The following practices are not to speed up the process, for divine time is perfect, but to ensure you don't sabotage it and to enjoy the sacred period of waiting. The first practice, the mental diet, protecting the seed from weeds. To protect the delicate seed in the darkness of the earth, the gardener must be vigilant and pull out the weeds of doubt as soon as they appear. His practice is that of a strict and loving mental diet. This is not an act of superficial positive thinking, of putting on a mask of happiness while panic reigns inside. It is a discipline of attention. It is the sovereign art of refusing to entertain any thought, conversation, or feeling that contradicts the truth of your wish fulfilled. The guardian at the gate. You become the guardian of the door of your mind. When a thought of doubt, fear, or impatience, it will never come. Why is it taking so long? Am I doing it right? Tries to enter, you do not fight it. You do not repress it with violence. You simply, with a sovereign calm, recognize it as an echo of the past or as static interference and deny it entry. You withdraw your attention from it and deliberately return it to the feeling of your wish already fulfilled. The counter-decree. Often you use the tool of the counter-decree. Doubt whispers, you'll never get it. You, with an inner calm, without needing to say it aloud, respond, it is done. It is in process. The law is perfect. Doubt insists, you see no proof. You respond, my faith is the only proof I need. I trust in the invisible. It is not an argument. It is a declaration of law in your inner kingdom, the fast from external evidence. For a time you stop obsessively looking for signs and proof in the external world. That search is born of doubt. Instead, you find the evidence within you, in the calm and certainty you feel when you align with your vision. The second practice, the art of handover, the contract with the universal CEO. The wise gardener knows that he does not make the plant grow. Life does. His job is to plant and tend. The intelligence of germination is beyond his control. His practice is that of handing over the process to a higher intelligence. The ritual is simple and profound, and it should be performed every time you feel the temptation to take control of the how and the when. Visualize the handover. You take your desire, your vision, along with all your worries about the details, the logistics, the timing. In your imagination, you place it in a golden box or write it on a sacred scroll. The decree of delegation, and with a feeling of deep relief and trust, you visualize yourself handing this box or scroll to universal intelligence, to your higher self, to God, and you say aloud or in your heart, this is yours now. I hand over the how and the when. I fully trust in your wisdom and your perfect timing. My only job now is to maintain my faith and joy. Yours is to orchestrate the details. Thank you because I know it is already done. This act of handover is the formal entrance into the mental Sabbath that the mystic spoke of. It is the declaration that you are no longer in charge of the logistics. Your only task from that moment on is to stay in the state of being of the wish fulfilled. The third practice, the conscious occupation, the art of joyful forgetting. A gardener who spends all day staring at the earth where he planted the seed, with anxiety and expectation, will not only fall into the temptation to dig it up, but his own energy of need can inhibit its growth. The wise gardener, once he has done his work, occupies himself with other tasks in the garden. His practice is that of conscious occupation. Once you have said your prayer, once you have planted the seed, the most effective way not to interfere is to forget about it. Not with a forced, anxious forgetting, but by occupying your conscious mind with the affairs and joy of the present. Immerse yourself in your work. If you have a job, give yourself to it with excellence and presence. Enjoy a hobby. Lose track of time in an activity you love, one that has nothing to do with your goal. Serve others. The fastest way to forget about your own problems is to help someone with theirs. Live your life now. Do not postpone your happiness, until the manifestation arrives. Find joy, beauty, and gratitude in your life just as it is today. By keeping your conscious mind occupied with the joy of the present, you allow your subconscious mind and universal intelligence to work on your future undisturbed, without the interference of your analysis and doubt. Manifestation often arrives like a thief in the night. At the moment, you have completely let go of your attachment to the outcome, because it is in that moment of total detachment that your faith is purest. The test of patience has been passed. You have learned not only to plant the seed, but to be the wise and confident guardian of its gestation. You are no longer a prisoner of the ego's anxious clock. You are a partner of divine time, who rests in the unshakable certainty that every harvest arrives by law in its perfect season. Chapter 9. The Language of Imagination. The untrained mind, a product of a culture that venerates the material and the measurable, has relegated imagination to the corner of children, poets, and artists. It sees it as a form of fantasy, a daydreaming that takes us away from real life. It is considered a luxury, a distraction at best, and a deception at worst. But the initiate in the secrets of the universe knows the truth. Imagination is not an escape from reality. It is the workshop where reality is built. Every great human achievement, from the most imposing cathedral to the rocket that travels to the stars, from the symphony that moves the soul to the technology that connects the world, first existed as a clear and sustained image in someone's imagination. Imagination is not a fantasy. It is the quantum simulator of consciousness, the portal through which the invisible potential of the field becomes a tangible possibility in the mind, the first and most crucial step of all creation. To use this tool with mastery, we must make a crucial distinction. Fantasy is passive. It is a movie we watch in our minds, often without control, a stream of images that entertains, distracts, or frightens us. Fantasy is often a symptom of lack, an escape from a present reality that does not satisfy us. Creative imagination, visualization, is active, deliberate, and disciplined. It is the act of building a mental scene with a defined purpose. It is not watching a movie. It is being the screenwriter, the director, and the main actor of that movie. The universe, as we have learned, sends you whispers and premonitions. And often the clearest way it shows you the premonition of your own future is through the images and longings it plants in your mind. Those persistent daydreams, those visions of a better, more expansive life that do not leave you, are not your whims. They are the blueprints that the universal architect is sending you for your next great construction. Your job is to learn to read them and refine them in the workshop of your imagination, the physics of imagination, creating a memory of the future. The power of imagination is not a new age superstition. It is a law of the mind, a process that operates through precise and demonstrable neurobiological and metaphysical mechanisms. The brain does not distinguish reality, the neural simulator. Your brain cannot clearly distinguish between an experience that is happening in the outside world, perceived through your five senses, and an experience that you are living with total sensory and emotional intensity in your inner world. For your brain, if you truly feel it, it is real. When you perform an act in your imagination, you are activating the same neural circuits, releasing the same cascade of peptides and hormones that would activate if you were performing the action physically. When a pianist imagines playing a complex piece, his motor cortex lights up, and his fingers receive electrical signals, in the same way as if his hands were actually on the keys. When an Olympic athlete visualizes the perfect race, he is training his muscles and nervous system for that performance, creating muscle memory without moving a single muscle. When you, in the theater of your mind, vividly rehearse the experience of your wish fulfilled, you are not simply dreaming. You are rewiring your brain. You are building the neural superhighways of your new reality before the first car drives on them. You are doing the most important preparatory work of all, the creation of a memory of the Chachiwo future, the temporal investment. The result of this repeated mental rehearsal is the creation of a memory of the future. Your brain, normally, is a file of the past. Its main function is to use that file of past experiences to predict and therefore create your future. If your past is full of failures and disappointments, your brain will project a similar future, By creatively visualizing, you are hacking this system. You are acting as a time traveler. You travel to the desired future, experience it fully, and then return to the present, but you bring with you a memory of that future. You are deliberately installing a new memory in your brain's file, a memory of an event that, on the three-dimensional plane, has not yet happened. Once this memory is installed through repetition and, crucially, emotion, your brain accepts it as a fact. And since the brain's job is to create coherence between your inner world and the outer one, it will begin to direct your perceptions. It will make you notice opportunities you previously ignored, your decisions and your behaviors, in a way that aligns with that new memory, so it can be recreated in the external world. You stop creating from your past and start creating from your future. The chemistry of embodiment, the inner pharmacy. Your body, which is the physical expression of your subconscious, responds instantly to the images you hold. It is your inner pharmacy, and your images are the prescriptions you give it. By imagining your success, your body produces the chemistry of confidence and joy, dopamine, serotonin, endorphins. By imagining your healing, your body produces the chemistry of regeneration and homeostasis, activating your immune system and your cellular repair mechanisms. By imagining failure and worry, your body produces the chemistry of stress, cortisol, and adrenaline. Through creative imagination, you are teaching your body on a cellular level what your new reality feels like, and this feeling, as we have seen, is the magnetic frequency that attracts manifestation. You are becoming biochemically the person who has already achieved their desire. The first practice, the forging of the perfect scene, the quantum mold. For your imaginal act to have maximum power to impress the subconscious mind, it must be forged with clear precision and intention. It cannot be a long, rambling scene. It must be a quantum mold, a perfectly carved jewel. The scene you build in your mind must follow 4 fundamental and unshakable laws. The law of the end, living from the conclusion. You never, ever visualize the process, the how, the path to your desire. To visualize the process often implies also visualizing the possible obstacles, the struggle, the effort, which creates a contradictory signal. Instead, you always visualize the final outcome. The scene that implies your desire is already an accomplished fact. You don't imagine yourself struggling to write the book. You imagine yourself holding the already printed book in your hands, feeling the weight of the paper and smelling the ink. You don't imagine yourself going through job interviews. You imagine yourself in a conversation with a loved one, telling them with overflowing joy, "I got the job." This act of living from the end is the most potent declaration of faith. It tells the subconscious that the goal has already been achieved, and its only job is to fill in the details of the how. The law of the first person, the creator's point of view. You don't watch a movie of yourself from the outside, as if you were a spectator in a theater. You are the protagonist. The scene is always lived through your own eyes. You don't see yourself receiving a hug. You feel that person's arms around you. You smell their perfume. You feel the warmth of their body against yours. You don't see yourself driving the new car. You feel your hands on the leather steering wheel. You see the dashboard in front of you. You hear the sound of the engine. To live the scene in the first person is what turns it from an image into a neurological experience. It is the key to tricking the brain into believing the event is already real. The law of sensory richness, the body's language. The subconscious is the mind of the body, and its native language is the 5 senses. To convince it that a scene is real, it must be sensorially rich. Before you start your visualization, do a sensory check-in. What do I see specifically in my scene? Colors, shapes, lights. What do I hear? Voices, music, ambient sounds. What do I feel on my skin? The texture of an object, the temperature of the air, the touch of another person. What do I smell or taste? The smell of fresh coffee, the taste of celebration wine, the scent of rain on the earth. The more sensory details you include in your 10-second scene, the more real and convincing the experience will be for your nervous system. You are building a memory, and memories are made of sensations. The law of emotional impregnation, the seal of reality. Finally, and this is the most important part, the scene must be impregnated with the feeling of the wish fulfilled. A sensorially rich scene that is emotionally empty is like a beautiful body without a soul. It has no power. The image is the mold. The feeling is the molten substance that fills it and solidifies it. The emotion of gratitude, relief, joy, and peace is the signature that seals the creation. It is the save command that engraves the new memory in your subconscious. Before you end your visualization, you always ask yourself, what is the dominant feeling of this scene? And you immerse yourself in that feeling. You amplify it. You let it flood every cell of your being. The second practice, the nightly rehearsal, the dream workshop. The visionary knows that the most receptive canvas, the moment when the subconscious is most open to receiving a new blueprint without the interference of the inner critic, is the drowsy, hypnagogic state just before falling asleep. Every night you prepare for your most potent creation ritual. The preparation. You lie in bed. You have avoided screens for at least 30 minutes. Your body is relaxed. The entrance to the workshop. You close your eyes. You take several deep breaths. You completely relax your body from your toes to your head. You feel yourself sinking into the bed, floating. This is the portal, the moment when the guardian of the logical mind begins to doze off. The projection and the loop. Now, with a gentle, effortless intention, you enter your short, 5 to 10 second, and perfect scene that you have already forged. You live it in the first person, with all your senses and above all with all your emotion. You feel the texture of the signed document. You hear the congratulatory word. You feel the wave of gratitude in your chest, and then the curtain falls. You return to the beginning of the brief scene and repeat it, over and over, like a lullaby, like a gentle sensory and emotional mantra, until the scene feels so real and so familiar that you fall asleep inside of it. This act of impregnating the subconscious mind just before sleep is the most potent act of manifestation that exists. It is handing the finalized blueprint to the master builder just before he begins his 8-hour shift of building your physical, emotional, and relational world during the night. The language of imagination has been revealed to you. It is no longer a childish tool of fantasy. It is the language with which you dialogue directly with the field of potentiality. You have learned to draw the blueprint, write the script, and direct the movie of your life. You have learned to create memories of a future that now, with this devoted practice, has become inevitable. Chapter 10. The Seed of Trust. Imagine a gardener who prepares the soil with infinite care. He chooses the most perfect seed from his collection. He plants it carefully, with reverence, with a clear vision of the majestic tree it contains. But the next day, consumed by anxiety and doubt, he returns to the garden and digs up the seed with his trembling fingers to see if it is germinating. Seeing no sprout, he sighs in disappointment and buries it again. The next day, tormented by impatience, he repeats the process. What will happen to that seed? Inevitably, it will die. It will never have the opportunity to germinate in the stillness, darkness, and trust it needs. The gardener's own anxiety for the fruit has killed the promise of the root. This is the madness that most of us practice with our minds. We perform a powerful act of creation in our meditation or in our nightly ritual. For 5 or 10 minutes, we plant the seed of abundance, of healing, or of love. We feel its reality. We fill ourselves with faith and gratitude. But then we open our eyes and return to the world of the senses, to the world of facts. And for the next 23 hours and 55 minutes, we dig up that seed over and over again mercilessly. We worry about how the money will arrive. Digging up. We doubt if the law really works for us. Digging up. We look at our bank account and feel a pang of panic about the lack. Digging up. We talk to our friends about how difficult things are. Digging up and trampling the earth. Each of these acts of doubt is a counter-prayer. It is a new investment order, charged with the powerful and familiar emotion of fear that you are giving to your subconscious. It is like sending your broker a clear and powerful buy order, and 5 minutes later, bombarding him with 100 more emails saying, "Cancel my previous order. I'm not sure. Are you sure it will work?" Your subconscious, the literal servant, upon receiving these two contradictory orders, is paralyzed, or by the law of least resistance, obeys the one that is more familiar and emotionally stronger, the order of doubt and lack. The anatomy of true faith. To be able to protect your seed, you must first redefine your understanding of faith. In our culture, faith is often confused with hope, but they are fundamentally different frequencies. Hope is an emotion of the future. It admits and focuses on the possibility of failure. It is the vibration of I wish, which by definition implies lack in the present. Hope is the prayer of the beggar. It feels like anxiety and longing. Faith, true trust, is a state of the present. It is the serene, calm, and unshakable knowing that creation is already finished on the causal plane, on the plane of consciousness. It is not I believe it will happen. It is I know it already is, and I observe with curiosity how it unfolds in my reality. Faith is the King's declaration. It feels like peace. This faith is not a blind belief or a superficial positive thought. It is a neurological discipline. It is the conscious and persistent act of activating and wiring the neural networks of your desired future, even and especially when your environment is screaming at you to activate the old familiar networks of the past. Every time you face a contradictory fact in your 3D reality, an unexpected bill, a physical symptom, and instead of falling into the programmed panic, you deliberately choose to return to the feeling of your wish already fulfilled. You are strengthening the muscle of faith. You are demonstrating to your brain and the universe which of the two realities is the dominant one. More than anything, faith is loyalty. It is an unshakable loyalty to the invisible reality you have created and felt in your imagination, over loyalty to the visible and temporary reality of your 5 senses. It is the sovereign declaration that your inner world is the cause and your outer world is the effect. It is the conviction of a revolutionary who remains loyal to the vision of a free nation, the invisible reality, while still living in a territory occupied by the enemy, the current visible reality. The first practice, the mental diet, the fortress of consciousness. To cultivate trust, you must become the guardian of the doors of your mind. Your practice is that of a strict but loving mental diet. It is not about suppressing negativity, but about consciously choosing not to feed it. The guardian at the gate. You become the conscious guardian of the door of your mind. When a thought of doubt, fear, or impatience, it will never come, why is it taking so long, tries to enter, you do not fight it. Fighting gives it energy. You simply, with a sovereign calm, recognize it for what it is, an echo of the past, a dying neural pattern, a passing cloud. And you deny it entry. You withdraw your attention from it and deliberately return it to the feeling of your wish already fulfilled. It is an act of catch and release. You catch the thought of doubt. Thank it for trying to protect you in its own way, and then you release it and redirect your focus. The counter-decree. Often, especially at the beginning, you use the counter-decree tool. It is an act of reaffirmation of the new law. Doubt whispers, you'll never get it. You have no proof. You, with an inner calm, without needing to say it aloud, respond with the new truth. It is done. It is in process. The law is perfect and always works. Doubt insists, this is taking too long. You respond, divine timing is perfect and always plays in my favor. It is not an argument. It is a reaffirmation of your sovereignty over your mental landscape. Informational curatorship. During the gestation period, you are especially careful with the information you consume. You put yourself in a vibrational quarantine. You limit your exposure to fear-based news, social media that provokes comparison, and conversations with cynical or negative people. Instead, you feed your mind with success stories, inspiring biographies, teachings that reinforce your faith in the law. You protect the land of your mind from the seeds of external weeds. The second practice, the art of handover, the contract with the COO. The wise gardener knows that his job is to plant, water, and protect. It is not his job to force the chemistry of germination or to control the weather. He knows that his conscious mind, with its need for control, is often the greatest source of interference. Therefore, he practices the art of handing over the process to a higher intelligence. The ritual is simple and profound, and it should be performed whenever you feel the anxiety of how and when taking hold of you. The act of delegation. You take your desire, your worry about the logistics, the details, the timing. In your imagination, you place it in a golden box or write it on a sacred scroll. The ceremonial handover. And with a feeling of deep relief and trust, you visualize yourself handing this scroll or box to universal intelligence, to your higher self, to God. And you say aloud or in your heart, "This is yours now. I hand over the how and the when. I fully trust in your wisdom and your perfect timing. I declare that my only job from this moment on is to maintain my faith and the feeling of the wish fulfilled. Yours is to orchestrate all the details. Thank you, because I know it is already done. This act of handover is the formal entrance into the mental Sabbath that the mystic spoke of. It is the declaration that you are no longer the micromanager of your manifestation. You have ascended to your true position, that of the visionary and the sustainer of faith. The third practice, the conscious occupation, the joyful forgetting. An idle mind is the workshop of doubt. A gardener who sits all day staring at the earth where he planted the seed, with anxiety and expectation, will not only fall into the temptation to dig it up to check on the progress, but his own energy of need can inhibit its growth. The wise gardener, once he has done his work, occupies himself with other tasks in the garden. The practice is that of conscious occupation. Once you have planted the seed in your imagination, once you have handed over the process, the most effective way not to interfere is to forget about it. Not with a forced forgetting, which is a form of resistance, but by occupying your conscious mind with the beauty and demands of the present moment. Immerse yourself in your work. Give yourself to your daily work with presence and excellence. Enjoy a hobby. Lose track of time in an activity you are passionate about, one that has nothing to do with your goal. Serve others. The fastest way to forget about your own needs is to help someone satisfy theirs. Service is a powerful antidote to self-obsession. Cultivate joy now. Do not postpone your happiness. Find joy in the simple things in your life today. A walk, a good meal, a conversation with a friend. By keeping your conscious mind occupied with the joy of the present, you allow your subconscious mind and universal intelligence to work on your future undisturbed, without the interference of your constant analysis. Manifestation often arrives, like a thief in the night. At the moment, you have completely let go of your attachment to the outcome, because it is in that moment of total detachment that your faith is purest. The test of patience has been passed. You have learned not only to plant the seed of your desire, but to be the wise and confident guardian of its gestation. You are no longer a prisoner of the ego's anxious clock. You are a partner of divine time, who rests in the unshakable certainty that every harvest arrives by law in its perfect season. Chapter 11. The Call of Liberation. Imagine you are in a river and you want the water, the current of life, to flow through your hands. If you close your fists with all your might, if you try to grab, hold onto and control the water, what happens? A few drops will be trapped, but the vast majority of the current will simply flow around your clenched hands, which will soon tire and cramp from the effort. The universe, the current of abundance, healing and love, operates under the same law. Attachment is the closed fist. It is the energy of contraction, of control, of need, of fear. When, after planting our seed in the garden of consciousness, we desperately cling to the outcome, we are doing three things that, with tragic irony, sabotage our own creation. We reinforce lack, the prayer of fear. Attachment is a form of fear. It is the fear of not getting it, the fear that it won't work, the fear that the universe will forget about us. And this fear, as we already know, is a vibration of lack. Every time you obsessively check your emails for the answer, every time you anxiously scan the horizon for a sign, you are sending a loud, powerful prayer to the universe. That prayer is not for your desire, but for your doubt. You are saying with the force of your feeling, I am terrified of not having this, which can only attract more experiences that justify that terror. We create resistance, the tyranny of how and when. Attachment is a way of telling the universe, I trust you, but only if you do it this way, through this person, and in this time frame. This mental rigidity, this attempt to micromanage the cosmos, creates immense energetic resistance. It's as if the universe were trying to deliver your gift through the open window of an unexpected synchronicity, but you insist, with your eyes closed and your arms crossed, that it must come through the front door at exactly 3 o'clock. By closing yourself off to the infinite, mysterious, and often ingenious ways the universe can fulfill your desire, you often completely block the delivery or delay it unnecessarily. We suffer in the waiting, the torture of gestation. Attachment turns the sacred, fertile period of gestation into torture. Instead of living in the joyful trust of the gardener, who knows the seed is growing underground, We live in the anxiety of the prisoner who awaits the verdict of his sentence. Every day that passes without the external manifestation becomes proof that it's not working, which weakens our faith, depletes our emotional capital, and sabotages our vibration. It turns the joyful act of creation into a stressful job. The open hand, the power of sovereign liberation, surrender, letting go, is not an act of indifference or apathy. It does not mean that you no longer care about your desire. On the contrary, it means that your trust in the law of the universe and in the validity of your desire is so absolute that you no longer need to control, manipulate, or force the process. It is the supreme act of faith. It is the graduation of the creation student. It is the sovereign declaration that says, I have done my part. I have clarified my desire. I have embodied its frequency. I have planted the seed with love, and I have protected its gestation with my faith. Now, with total confidence and a deep peace, I hand over the how and the when to an intelligence infinitely wiser and more powerful than mine. Liberation is the open hand. It is the energy of expansion, of trust, of receptivity. It is an act of relaxation at the heart of creation. And it is in the space of this open hand, of this confident void, that the universe has the freedom to place its miracles, often in ways that far exceed what your clenched fist could have contained. The crucial difference between surrender and resignation, it is vital, for your power as a creator, to differentiate sovereign surrender from the victim's resignation. Resignation is born of powerlessness. It is the attitude of the victim who, after fighting and failing, gives up. It is the sigh of, I guess I'll never get it. Its vibration is one of defeat, of heaviness, of low frequency. Resignation abandons the desire. Surrender, on the other hand, is born of power. It is the attitude of the sovereign. It is the conscious act of a creator who, having completed his work, strategically withdraws and trusts his invisible builders to finish the work. Its vibration is one of unshakable calm, lightness, and certainty. Surrender does not let go of the desire. It lets go of the struggle for the desire. Resignation is the soldier who throws down his weapon and surrenders to the enemy. Surrender is the general who, having designed the perfect battle plan, retreats to the command post and trusts that the armies he has already set in motion will win the war. Now that you understand the physics of liberation and the difference between the power of surrender and the powerlessness of resignation, you become the master of the final dance. You learn the sacred rituals to open your hand and allow the current of the universe to flow through you without obstacles. The first practice, the ritual of liberation, the decree of handover. To free yourself from attachment, you do not fight it. To fight is a form of attachment. Instead, you perform a ritual of conscious handover, a ceremony that communicates your decision to trust to your subconscious and the universe. Your practice is the symbolic act of liberation, the preparation. Choose a time and place where you will not be disturbed. It can be in nature under the full moon, or simply in the stillness of your room with a candle lit. The writing of the desire. You take your deepest desire, the one you have been holding with a clenched, anxious fist, and you write it on a piece of paper with the greatest clarity, feeling, and gratitude possible. Not as something you want, but as something you have already created on the inner plane. The symbolic act. Then, you perform a physical act that symbolizes your surrender of this desire to the universe. The subconscious mind understands the language of symbols much better than words. Fire. You can fold the paper and safely burn it, watching as the smoke carries the essence of your intention to the heavens, transmuting your desire from a solid form to free energy. Water. You can place it in a small glass bottle and throw it into a river, a lake, or the sea, trusting that the current will carry it to its perfect destination. Air. You can tie it to a biodegradable helium balloon and watch it ascend until it disappears into the infinite blue, releasing it to a higher intelligence. Earth. You can bury the paper in your garden, symbolically planting the seed and trusting in the wisdom of the earth to make it germinate in its perfect time, the decree of liberation. While performing this act, you pronounce the decree. It is not a plea, it is a declaration of sovereign trust. Universe, infinite intelligence, I hand this desire over to you. I have planted it with clarity, love, and gratitude. I have done my part. Now, with an open heart and total faith, I hand over the how, the when, and the who. I trust in your perfect timing and your infinite wisdom to manifest it in the way that is for my highest good and the highest good of all involved. I release my control. I release my struggle. I am open to receiving this or something better. Thank you because it is already done. The second practice, the art of open focus, from lens to landscape. Once you have released the specific seed, you do not continue to stare intently at the exact spot in the earth where you planted it. You turn your attention to the beauty of the whole garden. Your practice is that of open focus. Instead of obsessing over the manifestation of your specific desire, you shift your focus to cultivating the general state of being that desire represents. You stop using a telephoto lens and you start using a wide-angle lens instead of obsessing over getting that specific job at that company. You focus your energy on cultivating and embodying the feeling of being professionally whole, creative, and prosperous. Instead of obsessing over finding that specific person, you focus your energy on cultivating the feeling of being loved, giving love, and enjoying a deep connection. This shift from a narrow focus to an open focus does two miraculous things. First, it eliminates the anxiety of waiting. Second, it unimaginably broadens your field of reception. It allows the universe to deliver your good in ways that your logical mind, with its tunnel vision, had not considered. Perhaps the perfect job is not at that company, but in the one you start yourself. Perhaps the perfect connection is not with that person, but with the one you will meet once you become the embodiment of love. The third practice, the joy of the present moment, the anchor of wholeness. The final and most powerful antidote to attachment to the future is the radical anchoring in the wholeness of the present. Your practice is that of finding the treasure in the now. While you wait for your great garden to blossom, you learn to delight in the beauty of a single flower that has already bloomed in the present. You become a joy hunter. You immerse yourself in the pleasure of a conversation with a friend, giving them your total presence. You savor a cup of tea, a piece of fruit, as if it were the most important experience in the world, noticing every nuance of flavor and aroma. You feel gratitude for the sunlight on your skin, for the sound of the rain, for the simple and overwhelming miracle of being alive and breathing in this moment. By anchoring your happiness and your feeling of wholeness in the now, you remove the unbearable pressure from the future to have to make you happy. And in that liberation, in that absence of need, in that vibration of I am already complete, the future rushes to arrive. Because the universe, like a generous lover, is irresistibly attracted to a heart that is already whole, that asks for nothing, that simply radiates. The call of liberation has been answered. You have learned the final art of the master, that of opening your hand, letting go of control and trusting in the dance. You are no longer the prisoner of your desires, fighting for their fulfillment. You are the universe's partner, who plants his seeds with clear intention, and then with a joyful trust allows life itself, in its infinite wisdom, to take care of the magnificent and inevitable harvest. Chapter 12. The signal of joy. We have journeyed through the valleys of doubt and the mountains of faith. We have learned to listen, to prepare, to desire from the soul, to interpret the signs, and to let go with grace. And now we arrive at the destination that was never a destination, at the truth that was always present, at the final secret that unites everything. We arrive at the signal of joy. From childhood, we have made happiness our supreme goal, the great prize at the end of life's race, the treasure at the end of the rainbow. But happiness, as we have defined it in our culture, is a trap. It is a horizon that recedes as we move forward. Happiness is conditional. It is an emotion that depends fundamentally on external circumstances. I am happy if I get the promotion. I am happy if the day is sunny. I am happy if you love me. By making happiness our goal, we become slaves to conditions, beggars who plead with the world to give them a reason to feel good. In this paradigm, happiness is the reward that is granted to us for our efforts if we are lucky. Joy, or bliss, on the other hand, is unconditional. It is not a reaction to the external world. It is a radiation from the inner world. It does not depend on what happens. It is the natural and fundamental state of your soul when it is not obstructed by the parasites of fear, complaint, self-criticism, and the belief in lack. Happiness is the audience's applause. Joy is the bliss of singing your song. Happiness is the prize you hope to win at the end of the game. Joy is the bliss of playing the game, and the law of reversal, the wisdom of effortless manifestation, teaches us the most inverted, most liberating, and most powerful truth of all. Joy is not the result of manifestation, it is the cause. It is not the reward, it is the frequency. The physics and biology of joy is not a simple, pleasant emotion. It is the optimal state for creation and manifestation, a truth backed by the physics of consciousness and the biology of our body. Joy as the highest frequency. If we imagine emotions on a vibrational scale, at the lowest end we find fear, guilt, and shame. Their frequencies are slow, heavy, dense, and chaotic, like energetic sludge. As we move up, we find anger, then courage, and higher up, elevated emotions like gratitude and love. And at the top of that scale, radiant light, fast and perfectly coherent, is pure joy. Joy is the frequency of pure, unobstructed life force. It is the vibration of creation in its purest state, of expansion, of infinite possibility. It is the native music of the universe itself, the song the stars sing. By tuning into joy, you are tuning into the most creative and potent frequency that exists. Joy as the ultimate alignment signal. Your intuition, the whisper of the soul, has a built-in compass to guide you in every moment of your life. And that compass does not point to the north of logic, security, or what you should do. It points infallibly to joy. The feeling of joy, enthusiasm, flow, fascination is your soul's unmistakable signal telling you, yes, keep going here. This is your path. This is your truth. There is life for you here. Conversely, the absence of joy, boredom, apathy, a feeling of heaviness, resentment, is the signal that you have strayed from your authentic path, that you are making a decision or maintaining a situation that is not in alignment with your being. Joy is not a luxury. It is your guidance system. It is the soul's GPS 3. Joy as the state of maximum receptivity. Joy is a state of total non-resistance. It is physically and emotionally impossible to feel genuine joy and at the same time resist what is. Joy is a form of radical acceptance, openness, and permission. And in this state of non-resistance, you become an open channel, a superconductor for the universe's energy. Struggle ceases, control dissolves. And it is in this state of allowing, of flowing, that the intelligence of the universe can orchestrate synchronicities, attract allies, and open doors in the most rapid, elegant, and miraculous way. Struggle and effort are born of resistance. Joy is born of surrender to the flow. The biology of bliss, God's pharmacy. When you experience a state of joy, your brain and body are flooded with the most potent biochemical cocktail of creation. You release endorphins, the body's natural painkillers that dissolve pain. You release serotonin, the neurotransmitter of well-being and confidence. You release dopamine, which motivates you to keep going. And you release anandamide, the bliss molecule, its Sanskrit name means inner joy, an endogenous cannabinoid that silences the inner critic, promotes creative thought, and generates a feeling of unity with life. This state not only makes you feel good, it literally makes you a superhuman. It makes you smarter, more creative, more intuitive, and biologically more resilient. In a state of joy, your brain enters the flow of alpha and gamma waves, the bridge to the subconscious and states of genius, where solutions to problems and innovative ideas appear effortlessly. The irresistible magnetism of the child. The magnetic power of joy can be observed in its purest form in a happy child. A child who is completely immersed in the joy of his game in a park is not trying to attract anything. He has no goals, no agenda. He is not trying to manifest friends or gifts. He simply radiates an energy of pure joy, of total presence in the moment. And what happens around him? Adults are attracted to him. They want to smile at him, play with him, give him gifts. His joy is so magnetic that it reorganizes the environment in his favor without any effort, without any intention. The universe responds to our joy in the same way. When you stop being the solemn, serious, and attached to the outcome creator, and you become the joyful child who plays the game of life for the simple pleasure of playing, the entire universe wants to come and play with you. It showers you with gifts, opportunities, allies, not because you have earned them with your effort, but because it resonates with the beauty of your own light, because it wants to amplify the frequency of the joy you are emitting. The first practice, The deconstruction of seriousness, the invitation to play. The biggest obstacle to joy in the adult world is our addiction to seriousness. The ego has convinced us that to be responsible, professional, or even spiritual, we must be solemn, serious, and a little sorrowful. Playfulness, lightness, laughter, silliness are seen as frivolous luxuries, not as essential components of a full and powerful life. The sovereign's first practice is the conscious cultivation of play and the deconstruction of self-importance. Bring a playful attitude. This doesn't necessarily mean playing games, but bringing a playful attitude to everything you do. Before starting a serious task, you ask yourself, how can I do this with a spirit of lightness and play? Perhaps you put on your favorite music and dance while cleaning the house. Perhaps you turn writing a boring report into a game of finding the most elegant and powerful words. Perhaps you face a challenge not as a problem that threatens your survival, but as a fascinating riddle that invites you to be more creative. Schedule play. The initiate knows that solemnity is the vibration of the ego, which takes itself very seriously. Joy is the vibration of the soul, which knows that everything is a divine game. You consciously choose lightness over heaviness. You deliberately schedule a game day or a game afternoon into your week, a time with no agenda, no goals, no shoulds, where your only directive is to follow the whispers of your curiosity and fun. The second practice, the resonance hunt, the map of joy. The sovereign knows that joy cannot be forced, but it can be invited, it can be enticed. To do this, he must first know what doors open joy in his unique being. His practice is to become a resonance hunter. He uses his journal not only for his decrees and gratitudes, but as a joy journal. Every day at the end of the day, he takes 5 minutes to answer a single question. What was the moment of my day today, however small or trivial, in which I felt most alive, most authentic, most in flow, most myself? He does not look for great achievements. He looks for the small flashes of resonance. Perhaps it was during that conversation with a friend in which he felt a deep connection and lost track of time. Perhaps it was while solving that complex problem at work, feeling the pleasure of the challenge and creativity. Perhaps it was while walking in the sun, for no apparent reason, and he felt a wave of peace. Perhaps it was while cooking, listening to a song or reading a book. Over time, this journal reveals a map of the unique channels through which joy naturally flows into his life. It shows him the activities, the people, the environments, and the topics that are a vibrational yes for his soul. And with this information, with this precious data, he can begin to consciously design a life that contains more and more of these moments, not by chance, but by design. The third practice, the embodiment of future joy, anticipatory celebration. Finally, the master does not wait for the manifestation to arrive to feel joy. He feels joy for the manifestation to arrive. His practice is that of anticipatory celebration, the most potent creative act of all. In his meditation, he does not just visualize his completed goal from a serene perspective. He immerses himself in the unrestrained celebration. He creates a celebration movie. He feels the laughter bubbling in his chest. He feels the smile he cannot contain. He dances in his imagination. He feels the expansive relief, the overflowing gratitude, the pure joy of the victory already won. He is literally conditioning his body and his energy field to the biochemistry and frequency of triumph. He is becoming the tuning fork that vibrates at the frequency of his already realized dream. And that vibration, that frequency of pure joy, of unconditional celebration, is the most magnetic, most potent, and most irresistible signal he can send to the universe. The signal of joy has been revealed to you. It has ceased to be a distant goal and has become your compass, your fuel, and your way of traveling. You no longer seek joy in the world. You radiate it to the world, and the world, like a joyful mirror, cannot help but return the amplified reflection of your own magnificent light. Our journey began with a murmur, with the promise that the universe speaks to us in a silent language. We started as apprentices in the art of listening, longing to decipher the hidden signs in the fabric of our lives. And throughout this manual, we have undertaken a profound initiation. In the first part, we awakened the signal. We learned to listen to the whisper of intuition and to cultivate the frequency of preparation. We deciphered the grammar of the universe through the pull of synchronicity and redefined desire not as a lack, but as the call of our own destiny. Then, in the second part, we danced with alignment. We learned to recognize invisible allies, to trust in the doors that refuse to open as divine guidance, to magnetize our reality with the magnet of gratitude, and to overcome the test of patience with active faith. Finally, in the third part, we opened ourselves to the arrival of power. We mastered the language of imagination, protected the seed of trust, responded to the call of liberation, and at last, anchored ourselves in the highest frequency of all, the signal of joy. You have reached the end of the road. You have learned to read the premonitions. But the final revelation, the secret unveiled at the end of every true journey is this. The premonition of power wasn't about a power you were going to get. It was the premonition of a power you already were. The journey wasn't for you to listen to the universe. It was for the universe to at last be able to listen to you. You are no longer the person who anxiously awaits the whispers. You have become the whisper itself. Your state of being, your peace, your joy, your certainty, they are the premonition, the clear and coherent signal that the universe now hears and is obligated to respond to. The premonition has been fulfilled, and the premonition was you. Your journey of learning has ended. Your life as a living premonition begins now. Your practice is no longer about looking for signs. It is about being a signal. Walk through the world radiating the frequency of the peace you have cultivated, the joy you have chosen, and the certainty you have embodied, and watch how the universe, like a faithful mirror, returns the reflection of your own magnificent light. If this art of listening to the whispers of the universe has awakened your inner power and illuminated your path, we invite you to continue this exploration. Subscribe to our channel Path of Knowledge for more soul-expanding wisdom. Like this video if you recognize yourself as the premonition of your own power. Share this knowledge with someone who needs to learn to listen to their own guidance. Thank you for your time, for your openness, and for the brave decision to stop looking for signs and become one. The whisper has become your voice.